KLCS spotlights the winners of the 2015 Video in the Classroom Awards in the Los Angeles Unified School District. This is the Video in the Classroom Showcase.
Hello and welcome to the Video in the Classroom Showcase. I'm Jorge Briceño. Throughout this series, we're seeing how students and teachers in the Los Angeles Unified School District combine various disciplines of the school curriculum into award-winning classroom video productions. All of the videos featured in our program were recognized at the 2015 Video in the Classroom Awards. Teacher Jason Firestein from Cleveland Humanities Magnet High School gave his students an interesting assignment. They were to explore how native and acquired language relates to self-image, economic status, and acculturation. Their finished product provides some personal portraits of families, language, and culture. We now present Lost at Sea.
When I was 7 or 8, my mom would tell me a story. She'd say, in America, English is like an ocean, deep and powerful and expansive. Our first language is like a small stream. You have to cultivate it to make sure it doesn't run dry. If it does, you lose access to a whole different ocean that's just as deep, just as powerful, just as expansive.
We actually were fluent in Farsi up until the age of 4 when we started preschool, and it was at that point that we began to reject it altogether. And so when our parents used to speak to us in Farsi, we'd respond only in English, and we've gotten to the point where now we only understand Farsi, we can't speak it.
Growing up, I actually grew up only speaking Spanish at home. My parents actually immigrated to this country from Mexico, and I was born here though, so at home I only spoke Spanish, and I started speaking English when I went to school in pre-K, and I was put into ESL, and I got so embarrassed by that by kindergarten I got at ESL, and I started going to honors and magnet programs and everything.
I was born in Russia, and my family and I immigrated to the United States when I was 3 years old, so my first language was Russian, and then when I was 3, I entered an American preschool, and that's when I first started learning English. I picked it up pretty quickly. I was able to communicate in 4 months, and within a year I think I was pretty fluent. But to this day, we only speak Russian at home. My parents, especially my mom, get mad at me if I start saying things in English.
I think what hurts me the most is the fact that even though we say we want to speak Farsi, we haven't taken our Farsi classes seriously. We've been taking them for 5 years now, and yet we can only read and write. We still can't speak.
I think it's so sad how we always say bye to our Farsi teacher in English, and I feel like for people who've been practicing for 5 years, we should at least know how to greet her and say bye to her in Farsi.
And it's not necessarily a matter of us not knowing how to say it, it's just a matter of us not wanting to. There's something in us that stops us from speaking Farsi, even though we can understand completely.
So I'm part of our organization Knights and Ladies, and we're supposed to lead like tours for all the incoming freshmen. And I was supposed to lead a tour, and I was super psyched because I really wanted to, show the campus around, especially to the magnet kids. And the problem was that to be able to get a locker, you need to fill out your lunch application. And that in that room where they had a bunch of computers to be able to do that, there was no one who could translate, and more than half the parents could only speak Spanish, and so they had to get me to be able to translate. So I felt extremely frustrated that I wasn't able to say what Social Security was in Spanish, or what your family annual gross income is, because who knows that?
Preserving my ability to speak Russian is probably the best gift my parents could have ever given me, and as I've gotten older, I've started to realize more and more just how much of a sacrifice it was. When I was younger, I used to be sort of embarrassed when my parents were asked to repeat things, or when I was asked to be an interpreter for them, but now I'm sort of seeing just how socially isolated they are as a result. And also when I was little, I used to sort of, make fun of their grammatical mistakes, and on the surface, I guess it was all in good fun. But as my dad always says, every joke has a grain of joke.
I guess I started learning English in school, started when I was 10 years. It was a Cold War, so it was Cold War. We were not allowed to travel. So for me it was the most useless subject. When we decided to immigrate to the United States, the only thing I could say is, my name is Felix, and I couldn't say anything more, I guess. And so we started learning English, really learning English, maybe 1 year before we came, decided to come here. Yeah.
Абсолютно, для меня это было абсолютно осознанное решение говорить с тобой по-русски. Потому что когда мы приехали, и нам сказали, что там многие там теряют русский, там родители как бы пользовались тем, что дети очень легко впитывают язык, и поэтому дома начинали говорить по-английски, чтобы улучшить свой английский родительский. Вот. И я поняла, что там таким образом, да, я могу так воспользоваться, улучшить свой английский, но тогда это навечно потеряется русский.
It was a pretty big problem. I said I had like a pretty high GPA, and when it was time when I almost finished my studies, so I had job interview, and I got like enormous amount of job interviews, but I was getting rejected, and they told me that it was because of my English, and I don't think that it was unfair. It was fair because like language is first of all it's a tool for communication, and I couldn't communicate.
Да, я плачу за это, но это я плачу.
Папуль, а чё Макс говорит? Ну, вроде там можно смотреть, но... Натурально как-то, понимаешь, там вроде сидим, никого не трогаем, там, да, лаки. Нет.
Our first language was Spanish, and it is still. And we learned English when we came here to Los Angeles in 1988.
I came single, and I met my husband at school at night, and we tried to learn English. For me, it has been kind of hard because it has been difficult for me to try to speak English. So I just mix things, but I communicate very well.
We had to start from scratch, first learn the language, finishing the high school diploma, taking all these classes at night after work. It was difficult, but it brought some benefits right away because our salaries started increasing really well. That brought out, just the monetary benefit, but also, as my wife said, just able to communicate with many different people. It's a totally wonderful experience.
Okay, girls and boys, we are going to cook beans.
You have some cold water, lunch, piece of water? Yeah. Y ese es la de la mamá. Oh my god. I don't know how to do it.
I was 7 years old. I started English at the same time as Farsi in first grade. I was going to an Italian school in Iran, Catholic school. But whatever I learned wasn't adequate because when I went to England at the age of 13, within a couple of days the school shut down and I was the only pupil left. Everybody had gone on a summer vacation. I was there only with the headmaster and one cook. And I remember going to see the film Jaws. I couldn't understand any of the words used, any of the language in there. But 3 months later, after everybody had come back from the vacation, because during that period I could only converse with the headmaster and the cook, I had become proficient in English. So I went back and saw Jaws and could completely understand it.
No, I remember when I first came to the United States, since I had gone to American schools most of my life. I remember it was the onset of the revolution, and when I came here, the first day when I went to the registrar's office, they were talking to me very slowly. They were like, "Hello, how are you?" And I turned around and I said, "I'm fine, how are you?" So they realized I was the only one who spoke English, and there were about 500 new Iranians who were coming in that whole week, and nobody spoke English, so I became the ESL tutor. Believe it or not, in 10th grade, I was the only ESL tutor that they had. I remember before I had kids, and I would walk into the street or the grocery store, and I would see these Persian moms speaking English or Farsi to their kid, and the kids would speak back in English, and I would say, oh my God, that's never gonna happen to me. That will never ever happen to me. I'm gonna speak Farsi to my kids, they're gonna answer back in Farsi.
My idea was different. I thought, why confuse them? They speak English, this is a country that everybody speaks English, why should they speak a different language? But as time has gone by, I realized that I made a mistake, because when you speak in a different language, you think in a different language also. And they have also shown a fondness for Farsi. I wish we had spoken it more at the house.
When you're an immigrant, like language for you is just tool of communication. It's not about beauty of language. It's just only about communication. So like it's kind of like when you are rich, you go to a restaurant, you order delicious food and you enjoy it. But when you are hungry, and you can get any food and you are completely happy. And it's the same with language. Like when you're born in a country, when you really understand language, you can enjoy like beauty of it. But if you're an immigrant, language is just tool for communication.
The two of us, we don't realize when we speak Farsi, when we speak English, it's interchangeable for us. But we wish we had made it a rule that we speak Farsi only, at least in the house, so they pick up more of it.
We're really proud. And I think that's the case for everybody, whoever they come from. You will never forget that your first experiences in life and communicating with people, and that's your first language. And in fact, here at home, we use it every day among ourselves, and we try to communicate with our kids and just bilingually, I guess, using both what languages here and there. But in general, I consider Spanish to be a very beautiful language, and again, I think everybody's proud of their own heritage, their own culture, and we're not exception.
Es algo priceless, ¿sí? We speak English and we speak Spanish at the same time, so we are totally happy with that.
To learn more about the Video in the Classroom Awards, go to our website, klcs.org, and click on the Education tab. There you'll also learn how to go about submitting your own classroom video productions and look for our upcoming online series, Hollywood Homeroom. Until next time, keep those cameras rolling.